So let me welcome them. Professor Max Suckling. He's a representative of OECD Cooperative Research Program, who is the main sponsor of the event.
Yeah, so I'm going to keep this as brief as I can. It's really somewhat promotional to let people know about the scheme. People are probably generally aware of the OECD, but this cooperative research program is an entity within that, and it really presents pretty good opportunities for all of the audience here. So I'm just representing that as one of the 6 Science Advisory Board members. Let me just tell you a few things about the program. It's been running really quite a long time, since 1978. And those 3 bullet points there really are still what we're looking for, even in the meeting that we're about to start with the events this morning. So we want to provide a sound scientific knowledge base for agricultural policy making. So things that come out of this meeting, for example, have a chance to directly feed into that. We want to contribute to an informed public debate on current and emerging agri-food issues, and ultimately promote scientific understanding and standards between major regions of the OECD. And so that's obviously what we're doing with this meeting is really, going quite a range of different countries. And it's not all of the OECD countries either that actually can participate. So this is the opt-in part of this, is that only some of the countries have actually chosen to be in the scheme. So the scheme actually fits together with a range of other OECD bodies and gets information, for example, by the Technical Advisory Directorate, Committee for Agriculture, and there's a range of subcommittees there, and also the Committee for Fisheries. So we cover fisheries as well. And various other bodies on top of that, which I'm, again, not going to go through, but you can get the sense of there's a lot of advice streams coming through to help us with our decision-making in the CRP program. So what is this thing? What do we do? So for individual researchers, they can get fellowship awards. And I myself had a couple of these during my career, and I've had visitors as well. So it can go both ways. You can be either a host or a traveler. And the plan is to undertake one's own research project in collaboration with whoever is the host, researchers, and the lab. And it's in a different country from your native country or your working country, wherever it is that you're working. That's the country that applies here, not your nationality. And you have to have a permanent job to go back to and various other things. But in principle, you travel to another country. And this obviously strengthens the international exchange of ideas, this international mobility and cooperation, of course, highly challenged in the last 18 months, as you know, and ultimately to foster long-term collaboration between the Fellows Institute and the host. So that's the sort of thing that we're looking for here. And they can be from 6 to 26 weeks. So we are seeing a bit of a trend towards shorter stays over time. And this is for people who've got a minimum of 4 years postdoc experience. So now we're on to the second main activity of the CRP, which is international conferences, such as the one that we're involved with right now. And these can be of various different kinds, various different scales. So workshops, symposia, congresses, and so forth, as well as these conferences. And they've got to be related to one of the CRP research themes and of relevance to the policy priorities. And obviously current and future research, they need to be timely, hopefully, at the front, and scientific developments and opportunities that are emerging from all of that. And again, the plan is that will feed into policymakers. And for many meetings, we do see a mix of policymakers and industry and academia, really to get that flow of ideas, across into those different groups that don't normally have access to, even to science, perhaps. And of course, you have to be a CRP participating country, which New Zealand is. So Lincoln has their program. And I should also say, it's the first online program for the CRP. And so we actually have a couple of other people helping us with the evaluation. So we have Dr. Peter Cairns, who's online, I've seen, and also Dr. Steffi Fredericks, also online at the moment. And they're helping us with our evaluation because it's our first meeting online. And let me also just at this point congratulate Lincoln on really being the first to think their way through such a complicated situation as we found ourselves in, with many of the conferences just being delayed or not even necessarily postponed, but just canceled. So good on Lincoln for getting themselves organized and running this meeting. So the research themes, they're very, very inclusive. And you can see the old ones we've just moved away from. It's really the second one, which I'm involved in, particularly managing risks in a connected world has been renamed strengthening resilience in the face of multiple risks in a connected world. And of course, managing natural capital and transformational technologies and innovations, everything's in almost, but we're looking for high quality proposals, of course. And that's really where the line gets drawn, depending upon what budget we have in a given year. So sorry, stick with that one. So just some recent ones. So these were the ones that we approved last year, and many of them have been affected. So you can see Lincoln there in the middle, grazing in future multi-scapes. And you can see the diversity of not only the themes, but also some of those countries that are in principle going to be hosting these meetings at some point. And then we of course have the next round, and you can see it's starting to get busy for the Science Advisory Board, who normally attend to look at you know, the function of these meetings. So we had this process, 6 scientists and research administrators from various different places within the countries. And we look at the applications very carefully and score them and make recommendations for both the conferences and fellowships for sponsorship from the OECD program, and the governing body, which has a person from every country that's involved as a member. They ultimately make the approval of those sponsorships according to our recommendations normally, and the policy relevance that they see as well. And that's basically, that happens in December of each year. So looking at the recent past, back to 2010, you can see for conferences and workshops, it's a pretty good strike rate. I don't know what your experience is proposing, you know, events or getting funds for things, but these are very high success rates by anybody's standards. And so you can see just recently, it's even been easier to get this money under the circumstances. I guess we're still dealing with the fallout from COVID. And for the fellowships, it's also very similar. As many as half are getting funded. So I think that's good news for people who are interested in these kinds of opportunities. They're very good opportunities. And the average amount, 30,000 euros for a conference, but it ranges quite widely, and as it has in the past. And the fellowships also range, again, depending upon their duration. Okay, and here we are. If you don't see your country's flag, then I'm afraid you are unlikely to be able to participate unless your country is about to join. And some of the countries have been away and have come back, like France, for example. So this is the current suite of countries that can be hosts or have fellowships or have conferences. Okay, so there we go. And I'm almost done. So the call for applications, it's the beginning of April. This is for next year. So it's running at the moment. It closes 10th of September. So that's the deadline, and you need things like a letter from your host, et cetera, et cetera. So there's a lot of detail in there, but it's not a big process for the applicants. It's only a big process for people like Pablo who get caught in the international pandemic. Yeah, I think if anyone needs further information, there's plenty on the web. And the technical advisory division, if you have questions, you know, about your country's priorities, for example, you can go through there, or you can go directly through your country representative. And I haven't listed all the country representatives, but again, that's available both on the flyer and online. And if you really get stuck and you want to talk to somebody who's involved directly, yes, email me.